Today marks my 1 year anniversary of moving to Thailand, retiring to Thailand. And I wanted to put a video together that showcased all the things that I learned to save you time and money. So come along and find out what are my top 10 tips you can implement in your trip, whether it's short term or long term, moving here, retiring here to Thailand. The best time to go to Thailand, if you're on a budget or if you don't like crowds, is the off season. And they also call this the rainy season because, yes, it does rain. But the thing about living here and experiencing the raining, the temperature and the weather is exactly the same. It's not hotter or colder. And it does rain once in a while. And when it does rain, it typically clears up in the first hour or two. So other benefits that you're going to get from traveling from June to October, which is the off season, is you're going to get less crowds. Now, I lived in Thailand now for a year. I've lived in the busy season, the off season, and I prefer off season because the busy season is crazy. I mean, traveling on public transportation when using the bot buses, it's sardines in those taxis, and it's longer wait times, and there's tons of crowds, and everything is more expensive. So traveling in the off season, if you want to save 20 to 30%, less crowd. So another reason for traveling in the off season is you get better deals, guys, simply because there are not as many people here. So you eliminate the crowds and you get better deals for hotels and accommodations and either short-term or long-term rentals because there's not a lot of people out here. So you negotiate with the landlord and get up to 10, 20, sometimes 30% discount here in Thailand. Another thing you want to be mindful of when traveling to Thailand, the burning season, which happens from February to April. Now, this is where they burn the crops and especially affects the areas of northern Thailand like Chiang Rai, Chiang Mai, and Bangkok. So you want to be mindful during these times, and it may make breathing a little bit difficult, especially if you have any respiratory issues. So you want to keep that in mind if traveling to northern Thailand. However, southern area communities, beach communities such as Phuket and Pattaya aren't generally affected by the burning season because they're located more towards the south region of Thailand. Call your bank and your credit card company. Find out what their policy is on international transactions. Now, on credit cards, they typically charge up to 3 to 4% per transaction. And for ATM fees, if it could be up to $3, $4, and $5 per transaction. Very expensive, guys. So call your bank, find out what the policy is on international exchanges, international withdrawals. Another tip is you want to use cash more than your credit cards because you don't want the hassle of losing it, having it compromised or stolen, and have to hassle with replacing that card internationally, especially on your vacation. For me was to bring cash, but when bringing cash, make sure the bills are clean, pristine notes. What I mean by that is no markings, no wear, no pen marks, no creases that are pristine. The reason for that is because the exchanges here in Thailand are very picky on what type of dollars they'll exchange for you. And I've been stuck with many hundreds of dollars of bills that I cannot use. You can, of course, save them when you go back to your country, but it's just a hassle. It's just a nice little tip to know here when coming to Thailand. Go ahead and exchange a small amount of money at an exchange at the airport because airport exchanges are up to 20 to 30% more on the exchange fee. So you just want to exchange enough money to get you to your final destination. Another reason why you want to use cash over credit cards is that most street vendors and retailers don't accept credit cards. Now, most of the restaurants that I've been to do accept credit cards, but when you go off the beaten path in those areas that you're exploring, most likely than not, they're only going to accept cash. So it's best to bring cash. So lastly, if you're purchasing souvenirs or high valued merchandise, you're going to be charged a VAT tax, which is a value added tax here in Thailand. So they'll charge you up to 7% of your transaction. However, the good news is that you can get that tax back at the airport by going to the VAT refund counter location at the airport. Now, keep in mind, save your receipts and has to be more than 5,000 baht that you've actually incurred in taxes, and they expire after 60 days. So next tip, what do you do with international phone calls? What do you do with data plans? Now, I struggled with this one. Recommendation is to call your carrier and find out if they provide international calling and data plans. Most likely they do, but you need to find out the criteria because it will be expensive. So, what you have is several options when coming internationally, whether short term, long term, or moving or retiring to Thailand, and find out what kind of phone you have. Do you have a single SIM holder or a dual SIM holder? And can you buy an eSIM for that phone? Is it have a latest release that supports that? And then another option you can do is once you land at your destination here in Bangkok, you can purchase a data plan, voice plan at one of the local vendors. They're fairly inexpensive. They're about $12 to $20 a month. And you can have a SIM. If you have a single SIM in your phone, you can simply swap that out when you come to the country. And that way you can get cheap data and cheap voice calling. So this next tip is very critical that you do your research before you go and find out what insurance carriers and what they cover, because I did purchase travel insurance or medical insurance before I left. I purchased a 3-month plan for around $300 to $400. And unfortunately, 3 weeks into moving to Thailand, I had to get a hernia surgery. And although the cost of the surgery, the insurance company wouldn't cover it, because they didn't deem it necessary or a medical emergency. What they wanted me to do is fly back country and have the surgery there because it was $12,000. And it was a nightmare, guys. I struggled back and forth trying to get the insurance cover to cover me because, again, in their policy, it states that unless it is a life threatening or required surgery, that is approved through the medical provider or the hospital or the doctor, they will deny you. So make sure when looking at insurance that you ask a lot of questions where you purchase that insurance, is what my advice was. So find out if they do pay up front or they do approval. Thailand is way different. They are not going to perform any surgeries until you're fully covered or get approval from the insurance company that they will pay or you will pay up front. So again, do your research, call your insurance company and find out what they cover and grill them as far as what is necessary. Does it cover motorcycle insurance? Does it cover personal injury? Does it cover breaking my bones? Or what are the cases that you'll deny my case is the question that you should be asking. So very critical to follow up on this one and take your time and do your research. So tip number 5 is what to bring and what to pack. Now I missed the mark on this one. I brought way too much than I needed. And looking back, I just carried so much extra baggage along the way, unnecessary. So what you need is a pair of shorts and a shirt. Basically, I'm going to narrow it down to those two things. But the shirts that you will most likely wear are the ones that are light and very airy, like cotton, that fit loosely on your body. Now, bringing pants, I think I wore pants 1 or 2 times, but if you want, bring a pair of pants. As far as shoes, I wouldn't bring any white sneakers. I brought 2 pairs of those. They got dirty very quickly because you're going to be out and about traveling on the beach, sand, walking in dirty areas and puddles and such. Keep in mind, pack light And remember that things here are inexpensive. If you're willing to put in a little work, you can find the best bargains here, from clothing to tennis shoes. You can find them for a fraction of the cost. So, lastly, in regards to shoes, sandals are your best bet, your best option, and most popular here in Thailand, simply because it's going to be warm most of the time in the 80s, 90 degrees, and you're going to want something just to slip into that'll give that open air space. So, if you have a comfortable pair of sandals, most definitely bring them with you. If not, I would spend a little time in purchasing one that is very comfortable where you can walk miles in, because typically you're going to be walking a lot when you come to Thailand, not only on the beach, but looking at street vendors, fairs, and also other events and activities. So the next items to pack are personal care items such as toothpaste, toothbrush, shampoos, conditioners. Most likely they won't carry your specific brand here in Thailand, and if they do, it's rather expensive. As far as sunscreens, because they import them, there is a custom tax on there as well. It's very expensive, so you'll want to bring enough for you to last your duration of your trip. So the other thing that I found very hard to find, in fact, almost impossible, is Advil. So they don't sell or carry Advil out here, or aspirin. So if you're used to taking those specifics, make sure that you bring enough again for your duration. Mosquito repellent, again, it's very expensive out here. You may want to pick some up. So another thing you may consider bringing with you is a smart speaker. I brought an Alexa enabled device smart speaker, and I have to say, unbelievable, invaluable, not only for converting languages in Thai to English when communicating with someone that's visiting with you, but also for the weather, traffic, all kinds of things, and calling out music. Obviously, having a great speaker quality in your condo, apartment, or hotel room is definitely well worth the extra weight. So, next tip is transportation and how to get around once you've arrived in Thailand. Now, you're going to have many options depending on the region that you're going to visit. You'll have buses in the southern areas, which is the beach areas. You'll have taxi, Bolt. You'll have SkyTrain, as well as subways if it's in Bangkok, or other regions. You'll have tuk-tuks or taxis. Now, in my experience, I would stay away from the tuk-tuks because they're often, targeting tourists to charge them much higher. Unless you negotiate half of what they start with, I would not, or I would skip tuk-tuks. As far as taxis, be leery of taxis that don't use meters, guys, because what they'll do is they'll see that you're a tourist and they'll give you a higher inflated price. So always choose a taxi that has metered service, and you should be okay as far as transportation. So, in my opinion, one of the best ways to get around Thailand is downloading the Bolt app. Now, Bolt is similar to Uber, but at a fraction of the cost, guys. So, your other option in traveling in transportation in Thailand is renting a scooter. Now, scooter rentals are pretty common and they run anywhere from $3 to $5 a day, sometimes cheaper, depending on how you negotiate and where you're at. In the beach communities, they'll be a little bit more expensive. However, in the rural areas, in the urban areas, they'll be less expensive, guys. So the thing about scooters is they're the number one cause of fatalities in Thailand. So unless you have experience with scooters, I would generally recommend either utilizing the Bolt app or public transportation to get around Thailand. However, if you do have experience, I would be uber careful. So, last but not least, is the dating dangers here in Thailand and what to look out for and what to avoid. So, dating in Thailand, whether it's short term with a bar girl, a freelancer, or you're established a relationship here in Thailand, likely you will hear many hardships and stories that are solved with sending them money right away. So, I did a video on this topic, which will be at the end, on all the dangers and pitfalls of dating here in Thailand. So there you go, guys. My top 10 tips in Thailand on how to navigate and save money and save time while visiting this land of smiles. If you like this content, go ahead and like, subscribe to the channel, and share with others that you think could use some good vibration Thailand.
But I'm finally feeling like myself. All of the wounds that were opened by you are now closing. I finally know how to live without hurting myself.